Have you ever loved something so much that you just want to make it happen every day? Me neither. This is a podcast a day. Pod a day. 3, 2, 3. I've actually remembered. I've got back on my streak of remembering that kind of thing. Let me ask you something. Let me ask you something more important than life itself. The reason some people live, Twitter, aka X. If I had to ask you, who do you think would be on the top 10, 20 list of the most influential people on the app? Who do you reckon are the most influential people? Not in life. This isn't real life, remember. This is Twitter. Okay, this is something. Sometimes the lines get blurred. This is something separate. I'm not, trying to claim, for example, that the most followed people on TikTok, who are probably 15-year-olds, are the most influential people in the world. There's people on that app who have like 300 million followers. I don't know, maybe more at this point, considering it's been 2 years since that was the case. But if I had to ask you, Twitter, most influential on the app, who would you say? And if I gave you these answers, would you be surprised? Because first thing I'd say is, out of the 20 names, I only know who 3 of them were. And if I had to make a guess, if I had to say my top 3, I'd probably say if you can pick a sports team, maybe that's a cheat, but I'd pick like a sports team account or something. I don't really know what they mean by, I guess, followers. They just mean like how much followers you have. They said interactions, retweets, likes, all of this stuff. I just feel like a football account is the biggest sport in the world. It usually dominates numbers in terms of social media. Like 8 of the top 10 most liked posts ever on Instagram are all football related. It's either like Ronaldo's photo when he got not kicked out. I mean, knocked out of the Euros, was it? I can't remember which one. No, the World Cup. Messi's picture winning the World Cup. Messi's picture getting through the group stage at the World Cup. Messi's photo with Ronaldo. Like, it's all of the top 10 photos are like Messi and Ronaldo, and then the other 2 are like, I think one of them's that egg. Because I remember seeing a picture that Messi overtook the egg as being the most liked photo, which thank God is just not the egg. That's just a bad meme. And then the other one, if I had to guess, I would say it was like a Kylie Jenner post or something like that, but I don't remember. Basically, the point is that football usually dominates a lot. So realistically, I'd expect footballers or sportsmen or like a team to be up there. I would also put I would put maybe like an actor in a film. These are the kind of things you'd go for. Now, Andrew Tate was number 2 on the list, which kind of just feels like old news. Like, I just don't think that's the case more. Maybe like 18 months ago, but like that's like seeing Trump up there. It's just kind of like, yeah, that's yesterday's news. That's not. I get that was like a thing, but like, and yeah, he was tweeting, but I don't know. I don't know if I would agree with that. It's like seeing Logan Paul up there, and like, I'm not saying Logan Paul's fallen off, but like, that one doesn't immediately push me over the cliff though. Luka Modric was on there, which I said a footballer, sure. I didn't think Modric, who I don't even know if he does tweet, if he does. I remember there was that photo of Modric at his birthday party, and the story behind it was that he was there with one other person because he was the only guy who showed up. He invited everyone, no one showed up. Like, Modric just kind of comes across, he's a bit dorky. I don't know how Modric is up there. He's up there. I don't know if that's meant to like validate this. Like, Elon Musk, it kind of feels like this probably isn't even a role list. He just kind of put it together. He wanted to make it look legit, so he was like, I probably should have a footballer in here. He googled who's good at football. He saw a picture of Modric with the Ballon d'Or and thought, oh, he must be the best in the world. Chucked him on the list. Little does he know, Modric probably hasn't tweeted in the last 4 years or something. And number 1, if you put your thinking cap on and you followed the logic of what I just said, that this probably isn't a role list and it's just made by Elon Musk, who sits, on top of that mountain, most influential. You know the meme of Barack Obama putting the medal over himself? Yeah. Elon Musk. I guess it makes sense that he was the most influential account on the list, considering he owns it. But I don't think Zuckerberg would be the most on Instagram. I don't think, I just don't think, I can't think of any other people who own shit. Um, you know, I don't know. I just feel like you can't really, like, in my mind, it's like Elon Musk just, put this list together and said, I am the most influential, however he speaks, right? Obviously, it's like no one. I feel like Elon Musk probably tweets like 24 to 50 times a day, probably. He kind of just seems like he live tweets throughout the day, bad memes and jokes no one cares about. And I probably see about two Elon Musk tweets a year. And no shit, Elon Musk would be up there. He's probably paying for premium. He's got his count, pushed out to everyone as much as he can. Just seeing Elon Musk on top of that list, that just really, you know, way to invalidate a list. You know what I mean? But who really cares? It's thing, whatever. I watched a couple episodes. Moving on from our overlords that are Elon Musk, and moving to our overlords that are, what's his name? Bold, lots of money. Bezos, Amazon Prime. No, it's not even Amazon Prime. That whole transition, and it's Disney Plus. Another overlord though, Disney. I don't know who even owns that. I was gonna say Walt. Like, man's been dead for like half a century. I feel like. Who owns Disney? Who's like big Disney? Is it just like a conglomerate of people like all working together, melding minds, or is it like is it one guy? Because you got Bezos, he's got Amazon. You got Elon, he's got Twitter. You got the Zuck. He's got Insta and Facebook and the metaverse, the booming success that is the metaverse. And Disney is not like a one guy thing. Like, maybe it is. Maybe if I heard the name, I'd be like, oh, okay, yeah. But the Disney like own everything, and it's kind of like a faceless company. It's just Big Mickey. So I don't know. I don't know. Who used to own? It's kind of like, I remember watching these Moist Critical videos, and he was talking about how the owner of Nintendo, or like somewhere up there in like, or the owner of Mario or something, his last name is Bowser. His name's like John Bowser or something. Like, he was born for that role. And I kind of just like the idea of that. Like how Arsene Wenger managed Arsenal. I kind of like the idea when your name just leads into exactly what you do. If your last name's like Hoops, you got to be a pro baller, or you got to be some kind of ear pizza, Hoops, or you got to work for Cheerios. Like, you got to that be. I mean, that's how it used to be. Like, I'm saying it now, kind of like in a more wider sense, because there's so many different jobs now. But like back in the day, if your last name was Baker, man, you're a baker. And it was like four careers going around. It's like you're a baker, you're like welding iron or whatever, that fucking blacksmith or whatever. It's like my last name is just nonsense words. It's not like a thing, so I can't really. I guess the closest thing my last name would associate to would be like a hairdresser or something. Um, but but was I talking about this? Oh, I just like the idea of like the big sort of overlord companies, like the Disneys, the Amazons, being owned by people with like. I would like a guy who owns Disney to be called Mickey. Like, I would like that. I would like if we only started looking at recruits as if who's hiring this guy. I don't know how you can get into a role like that. If it's all just nepo, or if it's like inside connections, or if I doubt they put out job flyers or whatever. Like, come on down. But I like the idea of the guy, and he can be evil still. That's fine. But I like the idea of the owner being called Mickey something. I like the idea. I mean, Amazon. I used to know someone called Amazon. It's a name that could work. It's a bit on the nose. It's a bit obvious. But yeah, no, I was talking about Disney because I watched a couple episodes. I watched like two so far of Percy Jackson, and I've always been a defender of the films, not because I think they're good, but just because I saw them like over a decade ago, probably, and I never had a problem with them then. They're very much of their time. They're very much of that sort of 2000s sort of era, with a lot of the stuff going on there. People hate them because obviously, they're comparing it to a book. I think if you watch it actually, like the first one on its own, this is a movie of that time. You're like, I mean, Harry Potter was coming out at the same time. You kind of want it to be of that level. You're like, it's not. But like, just as a film you just come across as a kid, you're like, yep, this does the job. This is all right. Looking back, obviously, it looks cringe and bad because, most things do that are, that old and have CGI that's that old, and dialogue that's that old. It's old. And not that all old stuff is bad, but just it's of the era. I think it's doing a job. It's like a 7 out of 10 film, all things considered. And they've got this new film now that people are hyping up, and I feel like they're hyping it up because, well, I don't think there is any insider reason. I reckon they do just like it, but also because it's probably more accurate to the books and it's taking more time with it. But just from my perspective, I gotta say, I'm not blown away or anything. I don't think it's fucking amazing. Like, when the Harry Potter show comes out, if it's like that tone and it's like of this quality level of Percy Jackson, I wouldn't be too impressed. That's what I would say. And that's a property that I care more about. Not that I read those books either, but I wouldn't want it to have this vibe. It's not bad. It's a little bit Disney Channel-y. It's a little bit, I don't know. Like the CGI is pretty good in points. It's pretty good all the way throughout, really. I think the main kid's pretty good. None of the kid actors are bad. But I think I'm not gonna call out like one of them individually and say, except for that one could, because that's kind of harsh. I think they're all doing a good job or whatever, or they're just all taking the directions they were given. It's just, I think the overall tone just isn't really doing it for me. Although it's apparently taking more time with the story, it still felt incredibly rushed to me. Like that first episode with like getting to camp, and they get to camp by the final episode, and it's like, I guess you got to get to that point. But like, if it's that rushed in the books, and maybe Harry Potter's that rushed as well. I guess. Yeah, it is. It's like he's you see him delivered to the house, then it's him under the stairs. You see his shitty life. You see what straight from then they go to the zoo, I guess, and then he does the glass thing, and the glass comes out. And then the snake goes out, and then Harry's at his home, and then letters start getting delivered, and then it's the whole sort of montage of no post on Sundays, type thing, and then all the letters come through, and they go, we're going far, far away, and they go live on like an uninhabited sort of, like, not even an island, like just like a tiny spit of land that seems like in high tide it could be completely submerged. They just go there, and there was a lone house there or something, or they built it and they go live on this, like, there is no way to eat or get food or any kind of supply. Anyway, they're on this comic. It's just how it looks in the film. I don't know what's described as in the book, but it's like they go live there. And from the point that Hagrid shows up, because I would say it's the similar point, finding like the camp and going in and being like, okay, we're part of this world now. Similar to Hagrid, showing up and being like, you're a wizard, Harry. So I would be curious to know how far into the film is the you're a wizard, Harry thing. Because I don't know, when I watch that, it just doesn't feel rushed. But when I was watching this thing, it's like, it's all rushed and it's hard to explain. I did appreciate the scene where, like, the mum's telling him, because this was a point where I was like, this is so rushed, and he's just going with it now, and this and that. When the mum's like, because in the film, it's definitely a lot more rushed like that. But, like, the scene where the mum's, she's saying, oh, you're like a god. You're like, your dad was a god. And he's like, shut up. I don't believe in gods. That's stupid bullshit. I'm not a kid. Like, you're just trying to convince you some bullshit because I'm a bullied little nerd, loser, lame nerd, wet wiped loser. I appreciated that. I like that in there. But I wonder if I could Google it. Like, stretch. One-handed, this is going to be difficult. I don't know if it's something that will come up immediately. I just want to know, like, how far into Harry Potter do they have the Your Wizard Harry thing? How far into Harry Potter is the... Well, how would I even say this? The You're a Wizard Harry quote? Maybe? You're a wizard... This is where I need like a little troll man who can, aka a producer. When they just sit and Google that shit for you, that like rogue voice off screen that you never see, who just pipe. Like, sometimes I listen to podcasts for like a really long time, and I guess sometimes producers speaks more or less than others do. So like sometimes you watch when the producer's basically just like a second or third host, and sometimes you never hear them unless they need to do something. They're more just like checking levels or like hitting a soundboard or playing sounds or something. And then you won't hear them until you've listened to like 4 episodes, and this rogue voice will just start speaking like that's always been the case. And I don't know if that's my conscience, if that's like something interfering with the signal. It takes me out of it. It's like when you listen to a podcast and then they have a, they make a joke between each other, and then they both like pause, and you can tell they're looking at each other, or like they're not saying anything, and then you go in, like, it stays quiet for a good 2-3 seconds. You're thinking, oh, they're probably just staying quiet. They've just made a joke, and now they're just like, looking at each other type thing. And it's like, oh, it's been 2-3 seconds, it's been 4 seconds. And then every time, just as I go to check my phone, like, oh, maybe I accidentally did pause it, and that's when no one's saying anything, they carry on speaking. It happens to me all the time with the podcast. It's just kind of like, if you was listening to that on audio, did you just check? No one checked. Everyone just clicked off probably and was like, I'll find something else to listen to. Okay, quote. I would love it if I don't have to click a link. It's on page 55 is where it is in the book, which I guess is interesting. Page 55 is the "You're a Wizard, Harry." And I mean, I don't know how that translates to the film, and it's not telling me. The main thing that's came up is it's on page 55. You're a Wizard, Harry. Which, how many pages do you reckon are in that whole book? Should we Google that as well? This isn't important. How many pages in, what's it called? Philosopher's Stone? There we go. I need to recommend it for me. 223. So about 50 pages in, 53 pages, more or less a quarter of the way in, is when he finds out he's a wizard. I would say it's a relatively deep point into the book, right? I mean, we already know, or you would know, or if you was maybe a little kid, that was a surprise, or whatever. But like, and then he has to like believe it and see all the stuff, and then still find out about the world and be like, look around. 55 pages in to 220. You know, about a quarter of the way into the thing. You know, I don't know how it translates into the film. It's probably a lot quicker. It's probably less than, maybe not actually. Maybe not, but I'm assuming it's probably quicker than it is in the book. But still, the Percy Jackson thing, I just don't know. I'm not really getting the hype as of right now. But, you know. Also, it's just the fact that they're kids, I guess, maybe. And, like, I mean, young kids, so I just find it, I just struggle. Like, as much, they age them up, which makes it stupid. Like, imagine watching Harry Potter, and you're watching the first movie, and for some reason, the kids, it's like, you know, Noah Schnapp as Harry Potter casted, and it's just him walking around like, I'm a wizard, like, as an 11-year-old, you know what I mean? I get it's dumb, but I just in terms of like my, what's the word? I can't remember it, but you know, in terms of how much I'm just believing what's happening. Like, he gets to the gate, he sees his mum turn to dust, and has never held a sword before, never been in combat, just sprints at this thing and like immediately kills it. Like, I don't know. I don't mind him killing the thing at first try. You know, he's got that potential, it's just within him. But I need it to happen in a more accidental way, or I need him to see him. You know, I don't know. But we will see. I guess if they're making multiple series on this, the characters will age with them, because in the films as well, my favorite film from the Harry Potter films is like the fifth one. So like once they've aged up a bit, that one's my favorite. So naturally, I'd say the similar thing would be with this. I don't know if the tone would get darker like I did with Harry Potter. You could argue the tone got a little bit too dark of Harry Potter, not like in the actual contents, but just like visually, you can't see what the fuck is going on. But we will see. We will see, I suppose. Percy Jackson and the hating chief. Am I right? That's what I am. We come to take you where you're a hater. Okay, let's just move on to the. I mean, actually, we'll call it there. Time of death, 1850. Well, 740. Anyway, that's all. That's all you're getting from me. I feel so dumb at the end of these, the way I end them. Like, doing a bad stand-up routine is almost like, and just being like, no one laughed the whole way through. That's all. That's all I got, guys. Just praying no one's asking for a refund. Just trying to get off stage. But yeah, that is in fact all. So yeah, Dankeschön, thank you. See you on the next one.